Alright boys, welcome back to a BBR Retrospective that I pushed off a little bit because I've been busy. Before we get into that though, I want to go ahead and say check out the applications for my community draft league down in the description below. We're proud to be one of the first DLC draft leagues and you could be a part of it, man. All you gotta do is go down below and apply and you might get in, who knows. On top of that, we have an announcement for the league that I am running GPU tomorrow at noon EST. You do not want to miss it, man. I put a lot of work into it and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really fun season for you guys. With all that out of the way though, let's go ahead and get into the BBR Season 6 retrospective, our second BBR finals in a row. Of course, obviously, we had a pretty good team, man. I liked it a lot, but there were a couple of things that I learned from it and I want to go over with you guys. First and foremost, you will see Walking Wake and Torkoal at the bottom of the team sheet. We obviously did not have them. You see, Walking Wake played about 3 games, and that's about as many games as it took me to realize that Walking Wake without Terra is ass. I would love to try Walking Wake in the future with Terra, but without Terra, it's checked so easily. There were very few matchups I actually wanted to bring it, and then I forced it in a lot of matchups because I felt like I had to bring it. As long as your opponent has a good bulky water and a decent fairy, your Walking Wake's in a bad position. They can switch around you pretty easily, but it makes it very hard to run what I think is Walking Wake's best set in choice item. Obviously, this isn't 100% true because there are some matchups where it doesn't matter and Walking Wake can just go crazy. As I saw, I actually really would have liked to have Walking Wake against the finals team that we played. But most of the matchups, Walking Wake was not a Pokemon that I plan to draft again without Terra. And then of course, the Pokemon that we traded Walking Wake for was Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu is a Pokemon in the past you can check out in the top right hand corner, a Pokemon that I have said is very bad, and I've used it and it did alright. It kind of redeemed itself a little bit, but it solidified what my opinion overall of Chi-Yu is, and that is that Chi-Yu is no more than 16 points. Unless I'm pressed in this really tough position like I was in where I had to use Walking Wake, a Pokemon that I really disliked, or Chi-Yu, a Pokemon that I kind of disliked, I would not take Chi-Yu above 16 points. I think it is the best number 2 option on the board, maybe a first option for a 15th or 16th pick, but I really can't see Chi-Yu going higher than that. I think it's way too easy to prep for. It's really one-dimensional. You have Scarf, you have Specs, Eject Pack, and Boots, which four dimensions? I don't know. It's very easy to predict. And in Draft League, where it's super easy to predict and also kind of easy to counter, I really just don't see how it's a first overall pick. It does not feel that powerful, and there were even matchups that I had where I was like, I just can't bring this Pokemon. With Terra is a different story, but obviously I'm talking about without Terra. Genuinely, I think it's comparable in power to maybe like, I don't know, Garchomp for this generation, who is like a back end wheel first overall pick, but probably a second best Pokemon on the team. I think it feels very similar to that, where you don't want it to be your best Pokemon on the team, but sometimes it has to be. I think as a second option, Chi-Yu really shined. I think it was a lot of fun to use Chi-Yu. Eject Pack was really fun on this Pokemon, but I stand by the fact that I really don't think this Pokemon, if it is 17 points, is probably the worst 17 pointer. But as a second option, I had a lot of fun with it. I would definitely take it again as a second option. And then let's get to the stars of the show. First of all, Weavile. Weavile is a Pokemon that a lot of people have slept on this generation. Joey himself said that he would not pay any more than like, I think 6 points for this Pokemon. When I first got it, I thought the same thing, but after using it, it offers so much to a team, man. Strong priority, an Ice Shard, a really elite speed tier, and a dex that doesn't have great speed tier, an offensive ice, and there's not a lot of great switchings to offensive ice types in this generation. And of course, now it has access to Baton Pass, which opens up a whole nother dimension for Weavile, being able to Baton Pass on things like Dondozo or something that wants to come in on you. You're able to Baton Pass out, and of course you still have coverage, you still have low kick, you still have poison jab, you still have Night Slash. It has really good setup potential with Swords Dance as well, and it's not bulky, but it has enough defenses to where it can set up in the face of like a special Pokemon pretty easily. Overall, Weavile saved the season. I think it got us at least 2 wins on its own against both Amel and D-Ray. This Pokemon, absolutely I would draft it again, and I would love to use it in a low tier Terra setting where it's able to Terra. I think it would probably be one of the best Pokemon able to Terra. Would absolutely draft this Pokemon again. And then of course, the star of the show, Spanky. Anihilip, one of my favorite Pokemon I've ever drafted. We had Terra, we were Terra Fairy and Terra Water, and this Pokemon did not disappoint. It was the sole reason I won a lot of times. I almost didn't bring it week 1 against Mountay, and then after that, I just leaned into the fact, okay, Anihilip is broken, let's try to take advantage of it, and it carried us. It really did. Anihilip was the heart and soul of our team. It didn't make an appearance in the first 2 playoff rounds. That's why its stats look a little bit skewed. But overall, this Pokemon was just fantastic. The only thing that I didn't like about it was we were kind of pigeonholed with this specific team into offensive sets with either Scarf or Bulk Up, whether it be Bulk Up Protect, Bulk Up 3 Attack, bulk up Mana Rage Fist or bulk up Rest Talk, but we were pigeonholed into that pretty easily just because of the nature of how our team was a little bit more defensive than I probably would have liked. But nonetheless, I still had a lot of fun with it, and I think Anihilip is a Pokemon that I would 100% draft again. I think it is so much fun, man. And in the season overall, much like WPF, I think my games were not the highest quality. I feel like there were a couple games, like the game versus Amo. I think it's the best game of all time. I think it's so interesting. The best game I've ever been a part of. And then the game against Keegan were two games that I feel like I played exceptional in. And then there were other games, like the game against Mountay, that I didn't really do so hot in. But overall, as the season as a whole, I think was really good. And 5-3 is nothing to sneeze at. And of course, a finals appearance is very, very awesome. 3 finals appearances in a row is amazing. And with that being said, that leads to my next point. 3 finals appearances in a row. We've lost every single one, which is super sad. I do plan to be back for BBR Season 6, which should be DLC 2. And this is where I'll say that I do have a little bit of a humble ego, where I really believe in myself, but I also don't want to put others down whenever I put myself up. But I'm going to put myself up a little bit. I think at this point, it is pretty much impossible to put me any lower than top 5 players currently playing Wi-Fi. I think you're out of your mind. I think realistically, top 3. But I think, in my mind, number 1. And let me explain before you go, oh, John Jr., you are not that good. Get rid of your ego, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I'm believing in myself, and everybody's like, believe in yourself until you actually do, and then they become your number 1 hater. I struggle with social anxiety. I've talked about this on the Squirtle Squad podcast before, but I struggle with social anxiety. And one of those things that I extremely struggle with is what other people think about me. And I've worked on it a lot, and I think I've gotten to the point, there was a point in time where I was completely on the other side of the spectrum, ignored what anybody said, and just really focused in on myself and what I thought about myself and tried to pull myself up as far as I could. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where I throw myself down and I think that I'm awful. I think I'm back to the point to where I can really, really believe in myself, but without putting others down, like I said. So I really do truly believe that if you look at all of the games, if you look at the sample size of this generation, I am without a doubt a top 5 player currently in Wi-Fi, if not higher. And in my mind, I think I'm number 1. 3 finals appearances in a row is fantastic. Obviously didn't win any of them. Very unfortunate, but still, the consistency is there. I'm very good, usually a top seed in those leagues, except for this PBR season, where I barely snuck in playoffs, unfortunately. I think overall, I am a top 5 player currently on Wi-Fi, and I'm going to say that with confidence. And yeah, man, I think overall, a little bit disappointed, obviously. Not how I wanted the season to end. Overall, it was a fun season. Very happy I got to use Anihilip, Weavile, and the whole crew and make some memories with you guys. And we are almost at 2,000 subscribers. So if you guys have not already, be sure to go down there and help me out a little bit to get to my end of the year goal, which is 2,000 subscribers. With all that being said though, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at noon EST to see the GBU introduction video. I worked very hard on it, and I would appreciate it a lot if you guys would go like it, you would share it, show your friends, get hyped for it, because we are, as far as I know, one of the only and probably the biggest DLC draft league that is currently coming up, with the exception of maybe one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing out.